Hello and welcome to the Wake Up Podcast. I am your host, Ben Cason, here with David Chavez. David, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Ben. Finally, I'm here after all the other employees.
We ran through all of my favorite employees, and then we finally just got around to you. I'm just kidding. So you were in here a few episodes ago. We were talking about kind of the Miami trip when we got back.
Yep.
That's been a while now, huh? So yeah, I just wanted to kind of talk to you about your journey and how you got here to Pueblo, because you're not originally from Pueblo, correct?
No, I'm originally from New York. I was born in Queens, and then I went to Florida, went to college out there. Then after college, I went to Georgia for like a year, worked in some live events. Back to Florida, even though my wife hated Florida. Ended up having kids, and then we were kind of like in the process of getting out of Florida, and then we ended up having our third kid, so that delayed the process. And then when we were ready again, COVID came. So we were like, oh, well, crap, we're not leaving now. And then mid-COVID, we were like, I'm still doing my gigs. She's still taking photos. We can do this anywhere kind of thing. So we're like, let's just go. So we were originally going to go to North Carolina. And then a friend of mine, she was like, oh, you got to check out Colorado Springs. It's so beautiful, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I actually took a trip with my sister out to Springs for like a week almost. We fell in love with it. My wife was all for it. And then literally like a month after that trip, we were out.
Wow.
We moved out here. And then I actually I was applying for videography jobs because in the time in Florida, I was doing restaurant work and my side company as well. But I didn't want to go back to restaurant work. I was done with all that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, makes you kind of like dislike people because you see how bad they can be.
Sure.
But I didn't want to go back to that. And then I found the position here and I applied and it was viewed, but I never heard back. So then I kept applying for jobs, and then I decided to look at Wake Up Pueblo again. I found Matt's email. I emailed Matt directly. And then Jess, literally like 2 hours later, called me, and she's like, hey, can you come down for an interview? And then, the rest is history.
There we go. What's the adjustment been like for you and your family from Florida to Colorado?
Oh, we love it. I mean, my kids first, like real snow and everything like that, so they're loving that. But for my wife and I, it's no more humidity, no more mosquitoes. I can actually enjoy being outside, whereas in Florida, I would either, as soon as I showered and I was getting ready to go to work, as soon as I walked outside, I was sweating.
That was like the funniest thing, like that. Whenever we all went to that Miami trip, we're all getting there, and a lot of us are all really excited to be there, and you're just like rolling your eyes.
Well, I had just moved from Florida, so I'm like, of course, the first trip from work would be Florida.
Yeah,
I remember telling Matt when I first heard about going back to Florida, I was like, Matt, you can like think of me last when it comes to taking us to Miami. I was like, I don't have to go back. And then he's like, no, you have to go. And I was like, all right. I was like, well, I'm not going to say no to you. So,
yeah.
But yeah.
So what do you think about Wake Up so far?
I mean, compared to where it's at now from when I first started, it's awesome. I mean, when I first got here, everybody's heard the story. I was kind of thrown into the wolves, and Paige and all of them were like, oh, here, you can take this client. And it was just madness, like going back and forth. They were still trying to figure a lot of things out. Luckily, Matt kind of gave me permission to kind of start guiding the video department. So I did that. And then Tyler came in, and Tyler helped with the whole community aspect that nobody was really truly thinking about.
Sure.
So we've kind of brought in that. And now I think, overall, everybody's always been great. This is the first job that I can say so far that I've ever had where I actually like everybody.
Hey, there we go.
So that's saying a lot. So, yeah, but I enjoy working with all you guys. I mean, I love coming to work. I love being here. So.
Yeah, so then you commute down from Springs every day, right?
Yeah, and I enjoy it. It's like an hour, 45 minutes down, 45 minutes up, but it's a nice little gap.
Sure.
So it's like I get out of the house. I've been trying to go to the gym since we get snapped through Matt.
Yeah.
So I'll wake up at 5 a.m, literally brush my teeth, grab my bags, and I hit the road. I'm at the gym by like 6:20. I work out till like 7:30, and then I head straight to work. And I shower here, actually. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But
so I feel like I always see your Instagram stories that you're up late, like watching movies too. Do you just like not sleep?
Everybody's always saying. It's my only way to catch up on things.
Sure.
And you know me, I love movies.
Yeah.
So that's my big passion.
Hey, no hate for me. I just
no,
it's funny.
for sure. Yeah. But for me, it's like, especially the stuff that I love to watch, my kids can't watch.
Uh-huh.
So when they go to sleep is my time to watch it. And then I get home, my wife's editing her photo stuff.
Yeah.
And then she's watching her like Marvel movies over and over again. And I'm like, I don't want to sit through these again. I was like, I need to watch something new and like broaden, everything. So
Sure.
Yeah, but yeah, I lose sleep to watch shows. Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. So what led you to pick up a camera the first time?
Believe it or not, it was For me, it was always growing up. I always wanted to be like an astronaut, a volcanologist.
What's a volcanologist? Volcano?
Yeah, volcanoes. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So, and then I finally realized it's because of movies. So Dante's Peak was the reason I wanted to be a volcanologist. Apollo 13 was the reason I wanted to be an astronaut. And then I realized I don't actually want to be these things, but I love the inspiration that movies like, they open up your imagination, they give you hope.
Yeah.
So it's something I always wanted to do, and like my point of view, bring it to films, and then let somebody else enjoy it at the same time. So that's when I realized. And then as a kid, I had my first little like VHS camera.
Yeah.
And I would shoot Michael Myers movies. I would shoot our own Mission Impossible movies.
That's cool.
So it was fun. Like everybody in the neighborhood, all the kids in my neighborhood were always down to shoot something. So it was awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. So how old were you whenever you started doing that?
7, 8.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So your parents like were backing you in that?
Sorry.
Yeah,
my parents backed me up. My brother, he's a professor in Philly now. He was always like, "Oh, you got to go to school. You got to make sure you got, doctor, lawyer, all this stuff." And that just wasn't for me. I mean, whoever does it, more to you. I mean, the life that you kind of give up to study for that is crazy. My brother did it, and for me, it was always entertainment. I always wanted to be behind the camera. Now Tyler has kind of forced me to be in front of the camera. It's not my forte, but I mean, I do it because, like, again, I love working with you guys. So I support his vision. So whatever he wants to do, I'm all for it. But yeah, ever since I was a kid, it's just been my thing.
So what's it been like then coming into Wake Up, and you have a lot of different videographers, a lot of different styles, right? J-Rod's style is so different than yours, and trying to put that all together for the client.
Believe it or not, I don't like editing. It's not my favorite thing in the world.
Okay.
I love to shoot. I love to direct. I'll even write. But I've actually enjoyed watching J-Rod edit my stuff.
Okay.
Because that kid has talent behind the camera and behind the computer. So, like even the latest, travel podcast we did with you, I gave it to him because I wanted to see what he could do, and he nailed it.
Yeah.
So, and I've told him, I was like, when I start doing my film projects again, because I've been itching to do like music videos and films again, I want him to edit. He's all for it. But like you said, it's something new for me, and I've always wondered. I was talking to Eric about this. I've gotten to so many jobs where I've made it to the final interview and I didn't get the job. And I've always wondered why. And I see it's because I've never done this kind of stuff where it's like the fast turnarounds, the fast kind of like, promotional videos, stuff like that. I never did that. I've always music videos, films, maybe commercials for like a client or something like that, but that was it.
But like very creative and takes a while.
Right, exactly. So something quick and turnaround, I've never actually went through the process, and I'm learning it now. So I'm very grateful for like this side of production that I've never done. But I can't wait to get back to, what I really love doing.
Sure. What's that adjustment been like?
In the beginning, it was weird. I was just like, oh, I have to edit all the time. I have to do all this. But now it's like, I'd rather be doing this than be back serving somebody at a table, taking their order. So I'd rather be doing this. Not bad about it.
That's awesome. Sweet. Yeah. So I know you worked on the set of Bad Boys. That's what Matt always says. Can you tell me that story?
My friend Chris, he's in LA, and he came down to Florida. He was the main production assistant, the one that ran the whole thing. So I got in touch with him. He got me a job. But it was cool because of him. Instead of just like guarding areas, I was able to move from department to department every day. So one day I was working with the stunt team. I was actually in the cars that were like driving around.
Oh, cool.
The other day I was with the camera department. The other day I was with the drone. So every day was something different. It was a lot of fun, very hot. If you know me, I'm always complaining how hot I am. Yeah. Imagine a whole day where I'm at the beach and they're shooting and I'm just like burning up. Like the next morning, I remember I just didn't wake up. I was so tired from like being burnt out.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I mean, I've done those. I've done the Soul Train Awards. I've done like the Monopoly companies. Like what were they called? I can't remember the name, but in Georgia, that's what my wife's cousin owns, a production company for like live events. So I did the Sister Hazel. I've done a bunch of events where it's like I'm setting up rigs, setting up screens, doing the camera stuff. But I don't really enjoy doing that. I enjoyed more filming. So when we left Georgia, I kind of came back to our own production company. And then, from there, here I am.
So do you prefer like the big setup right there for the big movie? Like you're there working like that, or do you prefer like smaller?
I don't mind both. I mean, in the long run, I would love to do a big budget film, but I don't mind independent films where it's a smaller like budget and production. Sure. But I like to be the head of. I like to direct. That's my thing. I love to direct films. But like I said, I've worked on sets, and I remember when the film crew was here for Undercover Billionaire. Yeah. I was telling Matt, I was like, you guys are so lucky that they're awesome. because I've been with people who I worked with. Like I remember working X Factor, and the people above us, they were assholes. And I don't know why people are like that, because it's like, you're no better than I am. You just have that position. You don't have to be like, a douchebag kind of thing.
Sure.
But luckily everybody here got a good treatment from the, Discovery Channel team. So
that's awesome. Yeah. How was that? Like, you jump into Wake Up. Did you know Discovery Channel was involved? How was that?
No, they sold me on this whole documentary that they were doing for Colorado. So I believed it. I mean, I was like,
yeah,
nothing. But I remember hearing stories that there was a billionaire involved, what was going on, that nobody was really truly sure. And I remember coming in for my interview, and I guess the film crew got here a little bit late. And afterwards, they're like, "Oh, can we redo your interview?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "I gotta go."
You missed it.
Yeah, I was like, "Yeah, I'm good." But I am in part of the show. I'll probably show up towards the end, because I was here filming some of the clients, and then for the grand reveal of Grant Cardone, and then the final wrap up.
Yeah,
so
cool. So how's it been to see the team and the processes here expand? Because you were on very early.
Yeah, I love the fact that, for example, it was Mia and Paige. Unfortunately, Meredith's not here anymore, and Jess isn't here.
Yeah.
But Paige and Mia are very open-minded, and they're very open to critical criticism, which is a good thing, because that way you grow that way.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing. Nobody's butt heads, and everybody gets along really well. And we're just growing and growing and growing. And like Matt always says, we're trying to protect the culture that we have here, which is very important.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that I kind of have a say in who gets hired in the video department, kind of thing.
Sure.
Because it's like, I've always had a thing with like reading people really well. But I think we've been very blessed and lucky with who we brought on the team. So, but I mean, again, back to your question, I love working with everybody. Everybody's talented, and everybody knows how to handle themselves, so you don't have to babysit people. And I hate babysitting. Yeah.
So what do you think is special about Wake Up's culture?
I think it's the fact that everybody gets along. Nobody gets mad at each other. Yeah, there are days where like people come in with their moods, but it's not bad. Like I've been at jobs where it's like somebody comes in and you have to walk on eggshells. It's not like that here. And the good thing is that, again, everybody's receptive to everything. Now we have Eric, who's also able to help out with the environment as well.
Sure.
But it's just the fact that everybody's fun. We like to do things together. And then when we have to get to work, we get to work. So
that's awesome. Sweet. So what is your kind of like long-term goal whenever it comes to yourself and videography?
I've talked to Matt about this, actually. Long-term goals is, I know we do the omnipresence. I know we do, the clients and everything, but I have bigger ambitions. So I want to be able to not take Wake Up away from omnipresence and all the clients, but I want to branch out and kind of like do music videos for like big artists and do films.
Yeah.
I think Matt would make, besides the fact that he's awesome at mattressing, I think he'd be an amazing producer. So I've always told him, I was like, eventually in the long run, I feel like we should delve into the Hollywood world. And I mean, he has connections too. His brother works in Hollywood. So, I mean, you never know.
Cool. That's awesome. What's been your favorite? I know you've made a lot of short films and you've done a lot so far camera wise. What is like the one piece that you're most excited about and most proud about?
I would say, I mean, I've done better work since then, but Pluto, it was a short film that I did for a contest based out in England where they picked the top 50 scripts it's all based around the last three hours on Earth before an asteroid hits.
Okay.
So we were able to pick 2 scripts, and you were able to shoot them. So we picked one. It was called He Who Is Without Sin, and it's about a priest who's in his room, and then the guy comes bursting in asking for forgiveness. Turns out that the priest was molesting a kid, and the guy takes vengeance on the priest at the end of it.
Yeah.
And then the other one, we were like, all right, well, we went dark with this one. Let's go a little bit more kid-friendly. And we did one called Pluto, where it's the little boy who believes he's sending his dog back in time to save the world. And that actually got picked up by PBS. Cool. I signed a 3-year contract with them for them to release the film. So that's been like my biggest thing. And then after that, it was working with an artist called Maggie Baugh. I've been working with her for years. But in Florida, her family's out there, so she would come down. I would shoot a bunch of music videos. And one of the videos actually got promoted through Disney Radio Channel. So that was like another one that went out there as well.
And it just blew up from there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I've been busy ever since then. But then coming here, it's like I kind of had to push that to the side to kind of help grow this company, which is fine because who gets a chance to start up with a startup company? Nobody does that.
Yeah.
And I remember coming in, talking to Matt in the interview. Matt, I mean, you know this. Matt has a personality in itself.
Yeah.
He sold me. Like, I was like, this guy is he's onto something, and it is before I even like knew Matt. I remember when I first met Matt, I thought he was like this wholesome family guy with like Jenny. Not that they're not, but
Yeah.
they're more down to earth from the first kind of presentation that I had from them. But yeah, I mean, the fact that we're growing this together, and then he believes in my goals as well, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
So we can branch out and do other things as well in the long run.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, on my end, I feel the same thing. Like I came in for that interview and Matt I feel like I more interviewed Matt than he interviewed me for mine, to be honest. Like I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
What are you guys trying to do? And he was just like, you could tell it was a different energy.
Yeah.
And so like even then, like for me, I come in and I want to do more sports things. That's kind of where I want to go. And Matt's been like, yeah, you got do a sports podcast, get that going.
Yeah,
like it's just great.
As long as you do your work for Wake Up, he doesn't care what else you do, which is awesome.
And that's awesome. Yeah.
And that's the other thing too. It's like coming back to the culture. I'm very city. I'm a city boy, and I grew up with a lot of like, what's the word? More rough around the edges kind of friends, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So coming to Colorado, I remember going to what's that coffee shop? Dutch Brothers.
Oh
I
yeah.
remember waiting on drive-through with my wife, and the guy's like talking to me, and he's like, "Oh, how's it going?" Blah blah. And I'm like, okay, like
You're very New York. Like, don't look at me.
yeah. But he's like hanging out the window, like, "Oh, it's awesome, man." And I'm like, "Are you trying to hug me? Like, what's going on?" And I'm not used to the kindness, I guess I should say.
Sure.
But it's nice. It's nice to see that people are still genuine like that, and a lot of you are like that here. I remember like even like Tyler, like we were making a joke the other day at Matt's house about the jumping couch thing. I think you were there.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, I needed somebody with a little bit more fluff to do the jumping couch, which is fine. I don't care. And so I took it as a joke. I cursed him out jokingly.
Yeah.
And then he calls me later and he's like, "I'm sorry I said that." And like, I feel so bad. I'm like,
What
bro,
a nice guy.
I'm like, don't worry about it. Like for me, it's like, I grew up with jokes like that. So I have very thick skin when it comes to things like that.
Sure.
So that's why sometimes like even with my jokes, like I kind of still have to watch what I say because I don't want to like offend anybody.
Yeah.
Because everybody's so nice here.
Yeah.
But I love it. I mean, I can't complain. So
That's cool. Yeah, no, I agree. Like in terms of, the quality of the people here at Wake Up, it's pretty crazy how well we've kept the culture, and the more people we bring in, it's just, yeah, I'm with you. It was funny, like mentioning that commercial, the one where you were jumping on the bed and running around at Snooze. It was interesting to see the change of gears in your head, because so far to that day, right, we were doing the Traveling Ben stuff. You were the director, and I love seeing you in director mode as well. Like you're like telling me, "Hey Ben, come out of the car again. Don't look at the drone," like stuff like that, like things like that to keep you going. And then like once Tyler got that going, you just switched modes and you went into kind of actor mode, and I could see it. So what was that like? How's that changing from behind the camera to in front of the camera?
again, I don't like being in front of the camera. I still remember when like Meredith was here and she was trying to put my picture on like Instagram and stuff. I was like, I don't want to be on there. And it's not to say that I'm not like proud of myself or anything. But it's just more like I like being behind the camera. It's my thing.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, I support everybody here. So Tyler had a vision, and who am I to tell Tyler we can't do it because I don't want to be in front of the camera? So I'm 100% behind his vision. He wanted to do it. I was like, let's do it.
Yeah.
So whatever he wanted me to do, I did. I'm not going to complain.
That's awesome. So your guy is very passionate about movies. I know you've got your own like home theater all set up and everything as well. What are your go-to movies? Desert Island, 5 movies.
Top 5 movies?
Yeah.
Heat, not to be confused with the one with Sandra Bullock. Everybody always confuses that when I say
This is
it.
one I was about to say.
Yeah,
What are you
Al
talking
Pacino
about?
and Robert De Niro. The bank heist movie. Awesome. Inception. Anything Christopher Nolan. I'm very biased when it comes to him. I love all his movies. Prestige.
That's on my top 5 probably too.
Let me think. Vanilla Sky. And Requiem for a Dream.
I don't think I've seen those last 2.
Oh, you should watch them. They're both
Vanilla Sky.
mind-bending movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you should check them out. Vanilla Skies with Tom Cruise, and Requiem for a Dream is Jared Leto and what's his name? One of the Wayans brothers. I can't remember his name. But that's like, you better be ready to like sit down because that's a heavy, dark movie. It goes into like depression and drugs, and you see like the downfall of what those things can do to a person.
Yeah.
But it's such a creative movie. It's so good.
So with 2020 happening and with a lot of, this COVID stuff, it's had a big effect on movie theater industry. What are your thoughts on like
I'm sad.
movie theaters? Yeah.
I'm sad. I mean, I own stock in AMC and all that stuff. And I'm hoping that not just for my personal thing, but in the long run, once everything gets stabilized, it'll come back. Because I used to go to AMC has a plan where it's like you pay $22 a month and you get 3 movies a week. You go to Dolby, IMAX, or regular theater, didn't matter. But every Thursday night when my wife was editing, my kids were in bed, I'd go straight to the movies. So I would always be at the movie theater watching something. And my wife knew that. I remember when we first met, I was like, just know, I love movies. I'm always going to movie theaters, so it's like my thing. So it's been kind of depressing, like not being able to like enjoy a movie. Like I remember when Tenet came out, I had to cut a deal with my wife and be like, hey, I'm going to go see this in the movie theater. It's Christopher Nolan. It's happening. I'm going. She obviously she was cool with it. But Black Friday came around and I was like, listen, I can't go to the movies. I was like, so I'm going to buy a 70-inch TV for the living room. And she was like, all right, do it. So
because I got to make my own theater.
I have to until I could go back to the movies, man.
Yeah.
And it's depressing because I was ready to see the new Bond movie. I was ready to see the new Top Gun movie, Quiet Place 2, all these things. And then everything just got canceled.
Yeah. I'm hoping it all rebounds.
Oh, yeah.
Like even this last week, I went with my girlfriend and saw Wonder Woman in the theater. We hadn't done that in a while. Oh, I didn't think it was very good. I'll be honest.
Everybody dislikes the movie so much. I don't know. I think it was definitely full of heart, man. That movie, compared to a lot of the other DC films, and I loved seeing her like lassoing onto the lightning bolt.
It's a cool visual. Yeah.
It was good. And I love, what's his name? The Mandalorian?
Pedro Pascal. Yeah, he was the highlight of the movie for me too. He acted his heart out for a pretty mediocre script. Hot take.
And I'll say that they sold the movie wrong because in the trailers you think that Cheetah's the main villain.
Yeah.
And then you go into the movie and it's like a spoiler alert. Cheetah's not the main villain. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
There are things. I mean, it's a DC film. They're flawed in a lot of ways. And I think that's a company issue.
Okay. So this is a little bit of a spoiler alert, so feel free to skip a little bit ahead if you don't want to hear it. But watching that movie, it felt like a Wonder Woman movie written by a bunch of dudes. So let me explain that. So I felt like, compared to the last one, which is very like, Wonder Woman doesn't need any guys. She's out here dominating them like World War I. It's very grim, very like, she's kind of, the contrast is huge, right, between Wonder Woman and the rest of everything. Yeah. In this one, it felt like she was just kind of lovesick the whole movie, and she needed the guy. It just came off that way to me.
When you think about it, like again, I like the movie. Not that I think it's like a 10 out of 10.
Sure.
But thinking back, it's like she was okay with sleeping with this guy who doesn't even know his body's being used.
That gets me weird. Yeah.
But it did. I mean, I'm very emotional when it comes to like movies. Like I cry over stupid things when I watch things.
Oh yeah.
I didn't cry in the movie, but it broke my heart when she was like, I rescind my wish, and then she's.
It was a sad scene. She acted.
That was really good. Things like that sell me, and like even like there's a bunch of people who like hate Fast and the Furious, for example.
Oh yeah.
But to me, they're like popcorn films. Like you just go to like enjoy the crazy shit that you see on the screen.
Yeah.
Not to like, oh, this is an Oscar-worthy kind of film. You know what I mean? So it's like a lot of people can't distinguish those kind of things, and they expect that from every film. And like even like Marvel, like don't get me wrong, I think Captain America Winter Soldier is the best one because it's more grounded.
Yeah.
But the other ones are fun to watch. But again, you go in kind of like ready to suspend disbelief in that sense.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know how to do that. So
yeah. So, if you were on the Oscar committee, would you consider like these big popular like Avengers movies for Oscars? Like there's De Niro was talking about they're not real movies, or
I would consider them for many other categories.
Yeah, but not for Best Picture?
I don't know about Best Picture. I think Endgame Avengers would be allowed to be in that for me because they did such a great job after 10 years
of
building everything up. Yeah, it was amazing. But even like when I remember Dark Knight was like put into the category and everybody was like flipping out. It's like that movie deserved to be there because it wasn't a regular comic book film. So, and Christopher Nolan's been snubbed plenty of times from Best Director. So, but that's me.
Are you a Tarantino kind of guy as well?
Oh, I love Tarantino. Yeah,
he's one of my favorites.
He's awesome too. Yeah, anything he does, I'll watch. No doubt about it.
I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood may be my favorite movie in general.
And in general,
it's up there.
All right,
it was so good.
Out of all his movies, I think Pulp Fiction and Inglourious Bastards. I loved Inglourious Bastards.
Me too.
That was such a good movie.
That's up there probably. Yeah. It's probably close to my top 5 as well, just in general. Sure. That's cool. Yeah. So whenever it comes to like all of these things, you're also really passionate about Game of Thrones, right?
Oh yeah.
Tell me a little about
that. Oh damn! That was so long ago when the first season started. I remember having I was living with roommates at the time, and we all gathered to like watch it. I remember everybody thought the first episode was boring, and I was like, no, there's something here. Like, and I never read the books, but it's like all that mystical stuff. Like I enjoy that. Like Lord of the Rings, I love Lord of the Rings. And I kept watching, and I love Sean Penn. He always gets killed. Everything he does, he always gets killed. But he's such a good actor. And he was another reason I kept watching. And throughout the season, it got crazier and crazier. And then every season just got better and better until the last season.
And it fell off a cliff.
Yeah, that last season. There were good things and bad things about that last season. But I actually named my kids after Game of Thrones. So I have Khaleesi. She's my oldest. Arya is my middle child. And then Lyanna is my youngest.
So is your wife a big fan of Game of Thrones too?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Even before we had our first kid, we were like, if we have a girl, we're going to name her Khaleesi. Lo and behold, our first kid is a girl. So, I mean, I have all girls, but.
Sure.
Yeah, so.
That's awesome. So are you seeing your kids have passion for movies as well?
My middle child, Arya, is more like my partner in crime. Not that Khaleesi isn't, but Arya, everything I do, everything I watch, she wants to be there for. Khaleesi has her interests, which is good. I want her to be able to stand on her own ground. Yeah, exactly. And I try to convince her to watch some things. She doesn't want to do it. But Arya, like, for example, Arya loves Godzilla because of me. And Khaleesi doesn't like him. So Arya will be like, Daddy, can we watch Godzilla? She's like, even though Khaleesi could go watch in another room, she could go watch something else. But lately they've gotten into, because I watched Selena, the show. So now it's all about Selena. I'm home. They want me to blast Selena music. Now they're more into learning Spanish. I see them dancing all the time. So it's cool, like, to see, like, the things I like, go into my kids and stuff. And I love video games because of me. So
yeah, that's so cool.
It's fun to watch.
Yeah. How's that been then? I'm sure, with your wife a photographer, you're a videographer. Growing up, and now you're seeing your kids grow up, and you guys are able to capture that. I know you've used your daughter's some in some videos for Wake Up that we've done. Like, how's that been to be able to do that with that medium?
It's been fun. I mean, believe it or not, I don't like kids. I love my kids. Yeah. I don't care for anybody, like, really like taking care of anybody else's kids. So it was, and you can ask my wife this. We shot a film with my kids a year ago. My dog, Bailey, that I had since she was a puppy, she passed away. So I did kind of like a tribute video to her about my daughter's traveling through time to go see her again. Yeah. And let me tell you something, working with kids, I feel like I grew gray hair. And luckily I had my wife there to kind of wrangle them. Yeah. But it was like learning the time frame to shoot with them. And it kind of gave me like a whole nother understanding of working with kids. So now that I'm working with them now in Wake Up, now I understand how they are. So it's such an easier process. And they love it. They're always like, Daddy, when am I going to be on camera? And they, like, I showed my daughter, she was one of the main pictures that they put up for Kids First Vision. Yeah. And she's like, oh, look at me. She's like, did everybody see it? And she's like, do people like it? I was like, yeah, people love it. So it's fun to see that, like, them interested in that. And then my daughter, Khaleesi, my oldest, she's like, Daddy, can I be a director one day like you? And I'm like, if that's what you want to do. Yeah. I push them whatever they want. I don't. That's whatever awesome. They believe in. So
that's awesome, Chavez. Anything else you want to talk about while we're here?
You better go paintballing.
I still haven't decided. I'll see.
Yeah, you gotta go, man. We don't do it all the time, and I finally have gotten people to go. And I paintball all the time in Florida. I love it. I've done it for years. So to finally get out there, I can't wait to like pull my equipment out of the garage. Yeah. Get ready.
Pull my equipment out of the garage.
Oh, yeah, I have guns, I have vests, I have helmets, I have, the pods so I can have the extra bullets out there.
Dude, you were telling me, you were like, I think Tyler asked you, he was like, how long do you usually stay out there? And you were like, oh, just like 6 hours.
Yeah, everybody looked at me like I was crazy, but it's like in Florida, like the people that I would go play with all the time, we'd get there like 10 in the morning and we wouldn't finish till like 6 in the afternoon. So we would all chip in for like extra paint, obviously. Sure. And the guy knew me there, so he would give us discounts and everything because we would constantly go. But it's fun, man. I enjoy it. Like getting shot, the adrenaline's like, oh, I got shot, so I'm gonna get somebody kind of thing. So.
Gotta get revenge.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
So I can't wait.
That's awesome. Oh, I guess I have one more question for you. So you have done a lot behind the camera. You've done a lot of directing. You've also done some writing. Like we did the casting call here. You and Tyler worked together on that script. I was reading those scripts that you had them read for that. Even those, like you could just tell, like you guys are very talented at writing. You guys are able to put together these dialogues and make something into film. What was that like?
Well, writing, I love writing, but what I prefer is somebody who's a really good writer, and I'll take their script and kind of like put my vision into it and make the adjustments. That one script about the romance, that wasn't my script. That was from another contest. I always wanted to do that film. Yeah. But the one about the kids, that's the one I wrote for my kids. Yeah. So it's fun. I mean, you're able to get creative. You always kind of, at least in my opinion, you write whatever the hell you want. And then you bring down to like what you can actually do based on like budgets and everything. But I have a bunch of scripts that I have sitting there. There's one that I want to do. It's about a hitman. It's kind of like Punisher meets like Collateral, and kind of like Inception, the style of Inception. And Tyler and I have been talking about it for months now. I just had to finish some revisions.
Yeah.
And that's like the big one that I've been chipping away at for years that I've been wanting to do.
Cool.
So
that's awesome, man. Sweet. Well, we're looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing all that stuff. You guys just incredibly talented. I love it.
Oh,
love
you're awesome too. I love hearing all your stuff.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's definitely, I never really was a video guy. Like I'm mostly audio. I do radio, theater of the mind. That's kind of my kind of thing. But the more that I see like the great stuff you guys do in video, specifically you and Tyler and J-Rod and just all of you guys, what you put together, it makes me really inspired to do better video because you guys, it's a major storytelling tool and you guys do a great job with it.
I mean, I'm sure if you look back at like J-Rod's, my stuff, Tyler's stuff, when we first started, it's trash. So
you got to work on it.
So, I mean, we've pumped away at years for it. So J-Rod's phenomenal at what he does. Tyler's great at all his live events and all the quick turnarounds.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm learning from Tyler. Like that quick edit style and everything. I've learned a lot from him because again, I'm so used to like films.
You can marinate on it for a while.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'll have to come back to it and continue editing. But Tyler's taught me that whole sense of like quick turnarounds and everything like that, which I'm grateful for because I never delved into that. So
sure. Awesome, Chavez. Hey, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you, man.
Me, man.
Yeah. So this has been the Wake Up Podcast. I think we only have Christina left out of the people that are working here as of now, but from there, we're just going to keep going. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, these come out on Wednesdays every week. Thank you so much. As well as we have the other podcast we have going, Pueblo Passion. We've been getting a lot of the major players here in Pueblo have been coming in and they've been talking about what they're doing here in the community. Go check that one out. Again, searching Pueblo Passion in Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Then on the other end, you can go check out Next Man Up. That's me and Nick's sports podcast as well. That one, you look up Next Man Up in Spotify or Apple Podcasts by Wake Up Pueblo. We've got a big guest that's coming on this week, so stay tuned for that. I'm excited about that. Yeah, and anything else you want to plug, Chavez? Where can people find your stuff?
I mean, you can find me on Instagram at dchavez228. And I mean, my latest stuff is all on Wake Up, so you can check it out.
There you go. Yeah. Check out that stuff. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for listening. Have a great rest of your day.